Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. Now, this is going to be a pretty in-depth episode, so get ready to listen. And that is because this episode was actually originally a bonus training that we did for our 3 different programs that we offer. Now, here at Addo Aesthetics, we have Spa Retail Rockstar, where our promise is to teach you how to increase your sales by $500 to $5,000 per month without being pushy. We've got Post with Purpose, which is our social media membership site, where we focus a lot on strategy and branding and systems, all for social media to help you create a month's worth of content in just a couple of hours. And then we have our high-level group coaching and mastermind called Growth Factor, where we help 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs scale to that next level of business. And in all 3 of those communities, there was talk and fear, really, of what is this impending recession? Is there going to be a recession? What happens, when that happens? How do I make sure that I don't go out of business? It's just really been on people's minds quite a bit. And so we decided to do a bonus training for our students, and it was very well received. So we said, hey, why don't we just take this content and also create a podcast episode out of it? And so that's what you are about to listen to today. So what we're going to cover, what we're going to touch on is really how to cut expenses and manage your cash flow, how to continue marketing full force and why you should be marketing full force even in a recession, how to review your inventory management, to know your numbers, especially your profit margins on all treatments, and then networking online and offline. But what's really important to remember here is that the spa industry is continuing to grow. We are not in a recession right now. And while historically, yes, every 10 to 12 years, we go through a recession, it's very normal for that to happen. It's expected for that to happen. We are not in one now. So knowing what to do and giving yourself time to prepare ahead of time will always make you stronger. That's called being proactive in your business rather than reactive. And something that I found just really fascinating is that our spa industry, it's continuing to grow. So if you go to iSpa, they do a kind of state of the spa industry report every single year. And I pulled this data from that report. So the total revenue for the spa industry is at $17.5 billion. The average revenue per spa location rose to $803,000 per year. And more than 500,000 people visit U.S. spas every single day. So we are in a growing industry. Don't let your mindset, pull you into this space that, oh my gosh, we're going to go into a recession and all these businesses are going to close. In 2008, a lot of spas did close, but those were the spas that were not running their business properly. There were also spas that grew, and I guess I have to go back. I can't say that all the spas closed weren't running their businesses properly, because that's not fair. There's a lot of different circumstances that can come up. And in 2008 was just a very, very challenging time. However, what I see today is a lot of estheticians and spa owners have trouble managing numbers, understanding cash flow, having a business savings account, all of these things that are very important. And if you are running your business in that way, and if we go into a recession, if or when we go into a recession, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder for you to keep your doors open than someone who is running their business and knows their numbers, has the business savings, and so on. So, all right, let's keep going here. Now, while I do believe that there'll be a recession at some point based on historical data, so remember that there are, every 10 to 12 years, This is something that happens. Again, just remember that we are not in one now. So don't kind of go in that inward shutting down phase for something that's not even here. The more prepared you are, the less of an impact it'll make on your business. And remember that there are businesses, when we go through a recession and when unfortunately some businesses do close, that's less competition for you. So your business can actually thrive. Now, I do believe to, the core of who I am that so many of us, because the 2008 recession was just so impactful, we have learned a lot from it. You're seeing it in the behavior of millennials. They have not moved into the housing market the same way that generations past did. They also have been much more aware of taking, huge loans, student loan debt out. They've been very resistant to that. And so I think that even if and when we do move into a recession, we can expect it not to be as devastating as the last one because we're just more prepared. All right, so let's talk about cutting expenses and managing cash flow. So what I want you guys to do is go through your financial statements and look at every single charge that's being made. So your bank statements, your credit card statements are what I want you to look at, not just what your CPA or your bookkeeper sends you and said, oh, you spent X amount on operating expenses. I want to know what those actual charges are. And for every single charge, I want you to ask yourself, what is the ROI for this? Is it necessary for the growth of my business? And the thing is, there's not going to be this one big charge that stands out. That's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is what's, using all of my money. It's going to be those $12 recurring charges that seem like nothing, but over time really add up. Those trips to Starbucks, the subscription things that, are you even using those subscriptions for, whether it's a software or whatever? Those are the things that are going to really add up. So look at each of those and ask yourself, is this truly necessary for the growth of my business? Now, in addition to looking for expenses that you can remove, I want you to also look for opportunities where you can receive discounts when you pay the annual fee rather than the monthly fee. So if you're using a CRM, a customer relationship management software, these are sometimes what MailChimp or ConvertKit, even your booking software, if you're using Vagaro or Booker or StyleSeat or whatever booking software you're using, is there an opportunity for you to pay an annual fee rather than a monthly fee that will give you a discount? So a lot of softwares will say, oh, you get 2 months free if you pay for the year. So look at those. If it's a software that you're using that you're going to continue to use, pay for it up front and save those extra 2 months in cash, right? So yes, it's going to hit you for cash flow right now, but over the course of the year, it's going to actually save you quite a bit of money. Now, don't be afraid to negotiate with your vendors. You are a brick and mortar business. So whether that's for utilities, whether it's services provided in your building, the worst thing that they're going to say is no. And if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So make sure that you're looking at your internet, your cleaning people, if you have a trash service, whatever other things your building or your brick and mortar requires, make sure that you're looking at all of those things. You're negotiating your terms, your insurances. That's a huge one. Make sure you're negotiating terms and doing that now before we get into some sort of recession. Okay, now let's talk about managing cash flow and business savings accounts. So a good rule of thumb is to have a business savings account of 3 to 6 months of expenses built up. And I know that if you're in a place where you're not even paying yourself, you're like, how can I actually build up a business savings account? But you can do it faster than you think. And, I remember like in the very beginning of my business, I didn't pay myself. I didn't pay myself for a couple of years. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, I just never could do it. I never could do it. And then I set it up on auto and I didn't even feel it. And I was like, wow, why haven't I been doing that before? It was such a learning lesson for me. And so what I want you to do to start this business savings account, if you haven't already, is number one, when you're going through your credit card statements and your bank statements, I want you to find out what your no kidding cost to run the business is. What do you need to not close the doors? So I'm not talking about the nice to haves. I'm like, what is it? No kidding. Rent, utilities, supplies to perform services, like all of those kind of things that you absolutely have to run that business. And I want you to take that number and multiply it by either 3 or 6 or somewhere in between, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how many months you're going to want to feel comfortable. Now, if you have nothing saved, just start with a 3-month goal, right? It's going to feel a lot better for you to have a 3-month goal for you to hit than to feel like, oh my gosh, I need 6 months and that just seems out of reach. If you already have 6 months, consider bumping that up to 12 months. I mean, think about the level of security that you could have knowing that you had a 12-month business savings account that if things really do get just super bad economically, you can still keep your doors open because things will get better. So what I want you to do is first figure out what your number is. And let's just say it costs you $3,000 a month to run your business and keep your doors open. So that would be $9,000 for a three months of expenses. So then I want you to choose a percentage of your income that you're comfortable putting into a savings account each month. So if you're trying to figure this out, if you don't know, just start with 10%. And if you follow kind of the profit first method, one easy way to do this is just by saying, okay, so on the 10th of each month, the 10th and the 25th of each month, so twice a month, you're going to look at all of the deposits that have gone into your bank account. So everything that's been all of your cash flow that has gone into your bank account, you want to look at that number and take 10% of that and have that transfer into your business savings. The other way that you can do this, and this is kind of, what I did when I was actually working as an employee, I would just simply take all of my tips and everything that I earned in tips went into my savings account. And it actually got built up very, very quickly. So you just put a little bit in every single month, every single month, every single month. And before you know it, you've got that extra $9,000, $10,000, $20,000 built up that's really just going to give you such a level of security so that if and when we do go through a recession and, revenue dips or whatever it is, you have that extra cash flow to support you so that you can make rent and you can buy supplies and the things that you need to run your business. The other piece of managing cash flow is I want you to apply for any lines of credit or credit cards that you may need as a backup now while things are still going good rather than in a time of crisis. Now, these can serve as like a double backup plan to your emergency account. So if we go into some crazy recession and you don't have a business savings account and you're like, okay, I'm going to apply for a credit card or a line of credit or whatever, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder to get approved if we're in a financial crisis than it is now. So it's always good to have those things. And here's my word of caution with credit cards. So I am not, we are a debt-free business. I very much like to, stay out of debt and only spend what we earn. But with that being said, we do have a business credit card and we put everything under the sun on that credit card. Anything that can go on the credit card goes on the credit card, but it gets paid off in full every single month. I have never once in the years that we have owned and operated this business carried a balance on a credit card. And what that does for me is offer all sorts of bonus points and perks from the credit card that I use. So we have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, and it gives insane travel points. And so anytime I have an event, if I want my team to come, if I'm traveling anywhere, anything that I'm doing, like I haven't paid for a plane ticket for years. And it's all because we're getting all of those points built up. We get, I think, 1.25 points for any travel redeemed. So we're actually, every dollar that we spend, we get, even more points in that for travel. And so it helps us to save even more money. So I like to have multiple backup plans of how we're going to keep the business going and operating. And, having the cash up front, super, super important, but also having a credit card, as long as you can be disciplined enough to know that, hey, this is something that needs to be paid off in full every single month. Otherwise, we're not going to use it because you don't want to go down the slippery slope of credit card debt. All right, so let's move into talking about continuing to market full force. So one of the biggest mistakes that businesses made during the 2008 downturn was to completely stop marketing their business. Now, just because I'm saying, all right, continue marketing, let's continue this full force. It doesn't mean that you have to continue with the methods of marketing that you're using right now. If you're really big into Facebook ads and spending lots and lots of money on those, kudos to you. Awesome job. I hope you're getting a killer ROI on that. What I want you to do now, though, is start looking for other free publicity opportunities, but continue that marketing to build your email list. Make sure that your Facebook ads are working in a way that they're collecting emails, whether you're doing, offering a complimentary underarm wax with any Brazilian. They need to go from Facebook ad to landing page that's collecting the email and then deliver the coupon or voucher via an email nurture sequence. And that is so, so important because if Facebook goes away, if Instagram goes away, any of those things go away, you have and own your email list and you can reach out to those individuals, build the relationship with them, build the know, like, and trust factor with them, and communicate with them at any time that you want. And that is hugely, hugely important. So looking for free publicity opportunities, looking for, continuing to build your email list of not just clients who have come in to receive services from you, but potential new clients in your local area. And then also really focusing on engagement in social media. All of these things are very free or low cost, and they're going to keep your business front and center. Now, the reason that I was so focused on the email list is that if you look at the stats, the ROI for an email list is $38 for every dollar spent. Now, that is huge, right? So who cares if you have 10,000 followers on Instagram if they're not actually coming in as clients, right? So Instagram, you have right now, the stat is about 5 to 7% of your followers will actually see your post. That's not very much, right? So with email, you have the opportunity to provide value in a whole different way and build that relationship in a whole different way, and then also drive them to actually book appointments. So email, social media is huge for creating your online presence, for engagement, lots of things like that. But the main point should be to drive them onto your email list so that you can build that relationship further and encourage them to come in and book. All right, so let's talk about finding publicity opportunities. So publicity in most cases is 100% free, and the doors that it can open are just absolutely incredible. So if you haven't already signed up for Haro, Help a Reporter Out, that's a website that is a must. It gives you links multiple times in a day where reporters are looking for people to interview or quote for stories that they're working on. You can also pitch to your local news station. You can reach out to be a guest on a local podcast. Honestly, you have no idea what opportunities will come from that. So publicity does not have to be like being in Allure, or New Beauty, or like on Extra, or like whatever these, the doctors, like these TV shows. That's not going to serve you in the same way. Like if you're a brick and mortar and you're looking for local clientele, sure, those things are awesome. That really helps your social proof. But what we're looking at is we're measuring money coming in the door, not stuff that's going to just feed your ego, right? So while it can be super cool and you can use it for so many different things, if you were on a show like The Doctors, or something like that, but you want to know, like, how is this going to get more local people on my table? And so local news, Help a Reporter Out, and then local podcasts, those are the three easiest barriers to entry that will give you a high return on investment and exposure for people in your local community. Now let's talk about building engaged social media communities. Now, social media is a huge part of your online presence, which I define as your website, any of the social platforms that you're using, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, and then also your review sites. So the more active and engaged your audience, meaning the more that you are actually posting and communicating with them and connecting with them, the more organic reach and exposure you will get. And this is especially important if you do decide to cut or limit your advertising budget during a recession. You want to make sure that your organic reach is big enough that you can still connect with clients and get clients in the door. So now is the time to, really tighten that up, really communicate, really build your brand, build the engagement on your social media platforms. Okay, so let's move in now to reviewing inventory management. So one of the biggest cash flow issues is related to retail inventory. So how many of you right now have just a ton of inventory sitting on your shelves? That is money. That is money that you have invested that is just sitting there, not working for you. So retail, obviously I love retail. It's a huge, huge part of any successful business, but making sure that you have a very clear inventory management system, that you're only ordering the products that you are going to sell through that month, right? So do you know what PARs are? PARs are basically the amount of product that you go through in a month. So essentially, if you sell on average, let's say 6 cleansers, then I would set your PAR at 9 so that you know that, all right, when we get to 9 and we're doing our ordering, we're ordering once a month, then we're going to order there because we're going to sell 6, which will bring us down to 3. So then you're always having at least 3 cleansers just for that little bit of buffer. But what I see so often is spas doing bigger orders or ordering too many products that are really not working for them and just getting all of these products, all of this money tied up in inventory. So the other things that you can do are reaching out to your skincare vendors and asking if they offer net 30 terms. So net 30 means you can order the product and then your invoice is due 30 days later. That gives you the opportunity to sell the product and move the product and make the money to pay for them before you actually do have to pay for them. Now, what I want you all to do, besides, figuring out what your PARs are, I want you to do a deep product review. So look at everything that you're carrying. Make sure that there are no duplicates. You can carry multiple lines. That's not a problem at all. In fact, I encourage it because I don't think any one line has everything all figured out. But what you want to make sure is that you don't have 2 different vitamin C's or 2 different moisturizers for dry skin. That simply is just confusing to your clients and is just a waste of cash flow tied up in that business. I also want you to run a report from your product sales. I want to know what your top 10 and bottom 10 products are. And for your top 10, I want to make sure that you have those displayed properly. Are those at eye level on your display shelves? That's super important. And then for your bottom 10, I want you to really take a deep look and ask yourself, is it worth it to continue to stock these? Is it worth it to have, $1,000 tied up in product inventory for the $200 that we maybe sell and carrying all of these? What is the opportunity cost of that? So an opportunity cost, if you're not familiar with that term, it's if I have $1,000 tied up in this inventory, what the opportunity cost is the things that I could not do with those $1,000 because it's tied up in the inventory. So really take a look at that. And one of the options that I like for products like this is maybe those bottom 10, you have 2 clients who just absolutely love, XYZ product. Get rid of those bottom 10, but then just make them available online. And so you can, there's a lot of skincare companies that will allow you to sell a product, or they have a portal that you can sell online, and just order it that way immediately when that client needs it and have it shipped directly to them rather than just stocking it in your on your shelves with your cash tied up in there. So think about things in that way. Like, where are you wasting money that you could be? What are the opportunity costs for that money that's tied up in all of that inventory? All right, now let's move on to networking online and offline. So using social media platforms like LinkedIn are a great place to find and create business partnerships, referral relationships, and really just connect with other local businesses. So one thing that I encourage each and every one of you to do is to commit to reaching out to 5 local business owners per week, invite them for coffee so you can get to know one another and see if there's a way that you can support one another's businesses. Now, LinkedIn does have a lot of spammy messaging. That's one thing that I don't like about it is when you connect with people, then they immediately want to send you a message that they're selling something, right? And that's not how you build relationships. So what we do is send a personalized message. Make sure that that person knows that you're familiar with their local business, that you're a local business. You'd love to connect in person, get to know them, see if there's a way that you can support one another. And really just when you're having coffee, just connect with them and see who they are as a person. Is this someone that you could be friends with? And that's something that you really want to continue, when you're thinking about having a business partnership or a referral relationship with some individual. You want to make sure that you like them and get along with them and you have the same values. Otherwise, it's going to be just a really rocky road to create a successful referral relationship. Okay, so let's talk about networking offline. So in-person events, so Chamber of Commerce, BNI, if you go to meetup.com, these are all great opportunities to connect with other local business owners. Now, never underestimate the power of in-person connection. I love the quote, "Your net worth is your network." And, I am living proof of that. There's been so many opportunities that have come my way based on me maintaining a strong network. And the longer you're in this industry, the smaller it gets. I can tell you that. It's just, we are in a very, very unique industry. And when you get up into the corporate and into management and all of those kind of things, you're going to continue to see the same people. So make sure, you're not burning bridges, that you're building relationships and staying in contact with people who you really want to maintain in your network. An easy way to do that is just have a list of people. And I know this kind of seems impersonal, but this is something that really works, is keeping a list of people that you want to stay in contact with and then marking on your calendar, hey, quarterly, I'm going to reach out to so-and-so and just kind of have a touch point with them and see how they're doing, let them know I'm thinking of them, checking in on them, whatever. So it doesn't, so a year doesn't go by and you're just like, whoa, what happened? Now I really need to connect with that person. And now it's just going to seem weird or awkward when I reach out to them again. Now, there's a few reasons that I included networking as a key component to preparing for a recession. And one is that when you're going through a challenging time in business, you really need a community of peers that you can connect with and pull support from. And the thing is, as entrepreneurs, we already kind of have this loneliness that we feel. We're a very special breed, right, of people who go into business for themselves. And if you feel alone already, but then go into a really challenging time, that can put you into a downward spiral. But when you have someone else who understands what it means to build a business and what kind of energy and effort you have to put in and how much you are obsessed with building this thing, creating this space, creating this business, when you have someone that you can connect to and just feel supported, it helps so much. And when you have a network, it opens the opportunity for collaboration and trade for a variety of services. Now, as a spa, why don't you find me someone who doesn't want to trade for a spa service? That's a big benefit that we have, is that who doesn't want a facial? Who doesn't want some of the services that we offer? Everyone wants to look and feel their best. Everyone wants to feel that they can be confident in who they are and how they look, or they want to relax, whatever it is. We offer so many benefits. And when you're in a recession, if you have a great graphic designer, maybe rather than paying them in cash, you can pay them in services and they can do some work for you. That's going to be a heck of a lot easier if you have a strong network that you can connect with to do these things for you. All right, let's move into knowing your numbers, specifically talking about profit margins. Now, I want each of you to have a very clear understanding of what your most profitable treatments are. That is going to serve you so well. Now, I'm not talking about profit of your overall business. I'm talking about specifically profit of each treatment. And in order to figure this out, you have to understand what the cost of treatment is. So cost of treatment is the actual consumable cost that service offers you. Now, waxing is going to have a different cost of treatment than a facial, than a lash lift, and so on. So you want to figure out what your cost of treatment is, and you want to really look at, what do I have my pricing structure in place right now? So the rule of thumb is that your cost of treatment should never be more than 10% of your retail price. So if a facial costs you $8 to perform, you want to make sure that at minimum, your minimum price is going to be $80 for a facial. So I think I did an example here. Yeah. So if your cost of treatment is $8.23 to perform, the minimum retail price should be $82. But that gives you no wiggle room for promotion. So I would actually price that at an even 100 so that you do have the opportunity to discount in the future. Because if you're pricing at 82 and you want to do a discount on something or adding value or whatever, you're going to eat into your profit margin if you do it that way. But if you price at 100, you can discount 20%, 18%, and still be within your profit margin where you're going to actually continue to make money. So if you haven't raised your prices in a while, then definitely raise your prices before we go into a recession. Raising your prices during a recession is not a good idea. I'm a big believer in raising your prices every single year. But what I would do first is figure out the profitability of each of your treatments that you're offering. I would make sure that all of your prices are on par with that cost of treatment formula, right? So you want to make sure that they're all there. If you're not on par, go ahead and raise the prices that you need to. You don't have to do a raised price across the board, but just those specific prices that you don't have any wiggle room with, get those up now before we go into a recession. And then what you want to do is every single year, you go up just a small percentage, usually about 5%. 5 to 10% is kind of the normal, which can be sometimes just like $5 that you're increasing your prices. But that's going to help you adjust for inflation, adjust for any type of price increases that are happening for your consumables that you're using. But you definitely want to do that before we go into a recession. Okay, now things to remember. Everything that I've shared with you today, these are simple business fundamentals, right? This is how you should be running your business, whether we're in a recession or not. So if we go into a recession and you've been running your business in this way, you're going to have a much greater chance of survival and even thriving through a challenging time. But imagine if, let's say we don't go into a recession for another 5 years. Think how much stronger your business will be if you practice these fundamentals, if you practice these principles every single day. You will grow so much faster and you will be so much stronger with that foundation. Okay, my dears. So I know that was a lot of information. You'll probably have to listen to this episode another time. If you have any questions at all, I want you just to tag us over in the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group. I'm really happy to continue this conversation. It's a very, very important topic. I guess my biggest takeaway is we're not in a recession now. Don't stress about it now, but be proactive. Now is the time to take action and just run your business the right way. Really step into owning the fact that you're a leader, that you're an entrepreneur, and this is not a hobby, right? This is your business. This is something that you care deeply about, something that you're very passionate about. And you take care of the things that you are passionate about. And this is how you take care of your business. Okay, so again, head over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group. If you want to keep this conversation going, please, please, please share this episode with other estheticians and spa owners that you think need to hear this message. I would be so grateful for that. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode.